Chapter 1. For 3 years, my fiancée, Victoria Hathaway, was the picture of an ice queen, aloof and dignified. In public, she wouldn't even hold my hand. Our love, she'd say, doesn't need to be proven to outsiders. But on the birthday of her childhood friend, Ethan Reed, she rented out an entire nightclub and invited all their old classmates to celebrate him. Victoria dressed up as a bunny girl in a skimpy 3-piece outfit, pretending to be a cocktail waitress. She sat on Ethan's lap, feeding him alcohol mouth to mouth, letting his hands wander all over her while the crowd roared with approval. When the clock struck 12, Ethan carried her into a hotel. The next day, she came home covered in marks, and I caught her red-handed. It was Ethan's birthday, she explained. I just dressed up as a bunny girl to make him happy. You don't mind, do you? I shook my head. I don't mind at all. Next month is my childhood sweetheart Grace's birthday. I'm thinking of marrying her to celebrate. You wouldn't be angry about that, would you? The moment I walked into the nightclub, Victoria had just emerged in her bunny girl costume, and the whole place erupted. Victoria Hathaway had been the unapproachable ice queen of our university. Who would have ever imagined that one day she would wear a bunny girl outfit just to celebrate Ethan Reed's birthday? Her skin was like snow, and under the club's lights, the black lace of the costume only accentuated her stunning figure, drawing every eye in the room. Carrying a bottle of wine, she walked over to Ethan and plopped right onto his lap. Ethan, happy birthday. Do you like your present? He looked at her, completely mesmerized. I love it, Victoria. You look gorgeous tonight. Victoria blushed, took a sip of wine, and pressed her lips to Ethan's, transferring the liquid into his mouth. The old classmates in the room went wild. Whoa, Ethan, are you a man or make a move? I can't believe we're seeing you two together again after all these years. This is great. Seeing how sweet they are makes me believe in love again. Ethan's hand clamped onto the back of Victoria's neck, deepening the kiss. They were locked in a passionate embrace for several minutes, completely oblivious to the crowd watching them. I stood in a corner, my eyes burning. I had been with Victoria for 3 years. She had always been so cold. After we got engaged, she made me promise we wouldn't cross any lines before the wedding. I loved her, so of course, I agreed. A girl so pure deserved to be cherished. We never even announced our engagement publicly. In front of others, she wouldn't let me hold her hand. Our love doesn't need to be proven to outsiders, she'd said. I thought she was just shy, that if I insisted on public displays of affection, it would genuinely embarrass her. But watching this scene unfold, I finally understood. Shyness, dignity, aloofness, they were all just excuses. Her heart belonged to someone else, and that's why she could never let me get close. If that was the case, why did she agree to marry me? I watched them, their lips still pressed together, my throat feeling like it was clogged with sand, aching with a bitter pain. The crowd was still egging them on. Ethan, you're back for good, right? Victoria waited years for you. Don't you dare let her down. Ethan held Victoria tightly. I'm not leaving. I hope I still have a chance to stand by Victoria's side. I saw Victoria, her face flushed, look up at him and nod. At midnight, everyone stood and sang happy birthday to Ethan. He made a wish. I wish that Victoria and I can be together forever. Then Victoria threw herself into his arms. Ethan, no matter when you came back, as long as you turned around, I would be here for you. Chapter 2. My heart finally shattered into a million pieces. So, she had been waiting for him all along. When their party ended and they started to leave, I quickly hid. I watched them see off all their classmates until it was just the two of them. Ethan gently pulled her close. Victoria, don't go home tonight, okay? She hesitated for a moment. I watched her face, silently praying, reject him. Reject him, and I can forgive everything you did tonight. I can pretend none of this ever happened. Victoria murmured, Sincere is still waiting for me at home. Ethan kissed her cheek and whispered, Victoria, I was gone for 3 years, and I thought about you every single day. My heart ached for you. Please don't leave me. Stay with me, okay? She melted in his arms, and they clung to each other as they walked into the hotel next door. My hands trembled as I dialed Victoria's number. Unsurprisingly, she declined the call. I followed up with a text, "Victoria, where are you? I'll come pick you up." Her reply came quickly. "Something came up at work. I have to work overtime. I won't be home tonight, so don't wait up. My phone is about to die. I can't text anymore." Sure enough, when I tried to call again, her phone was off. I closed my eyes. The love I had poured out over the last 3 years suddenly felt like a colossal joke. I returned to the small home Victoria, and I shared. We had spent 3 years meticulously decorating our little nest. I had once fantasized about us raising children here, but now that seemed impossible. At 9 the next morning, Victoria returned. She saw me sitting in the living room and froze. "You're not at work today?" Then, as if remembering something, she walked over nervously. "Are you upset that I didn't come home last night?" She then leaned in and gave me a light peck on the cheek. It was a rare, spontaneous kiss from her. In our 3 years together, I could count the number of times she had initiated a kiss on one hand. I turned my head, avoiding her lips. I frowned. "The perfume you're wearing is a bit strong." It was the scent of a man's cologne. I didn't need to guess whose it was. My rejection made Victoria's face stiffen. She smelled the stale smoke in the room and said coldly, her brow furrowed, "Sincere, you know I have a sensitive respiratory system. I can't stand the smell of smoke. Why would you smoke in the house? Have you no respect for me?" I said nothing. She tossed her bag on the sofa and began taking off her coat. I was exhausted from working overtime all night. "I'm not in the mood to coddle you. I'm going to take a shower and rest." With that, she went into the bathroom. She probably hadn't even noticed them herself, but the 5 neck of her sweater revealed several hickeys on her neck, telltale marks that were both intimate and jarring. Ethan had done that on purpose. It was a blatant provocation. When she came out of the shower, she must have seen the marks in the bathroom mirror. She offered an explanation. "I slept on the office sofa last night. There were so many mosquitoes in the office, I got bitten all over." I looked at her and suddenly decided to test the waters. "Victoria, we've been engaged for 3 years. When are we getting married?" According to our original plan, we were supposed to get married by the end of the year, but now I watched her, waiting for her answer. Her eyes darted away. "The gallery has been really busy lately," she said quietly. "My boss is planning to open a new branch and wants me to help manage it. Let's talk about the wedding later. We're always together anyway. A marriage license is just a piece of paper, right? It doesn't really matter if we have one or not." I looked her straight in the eye and cut her off. "You don't want to get married. It's because Ethan Reed is back, isn't it?" Chapter 3. Her voice suddenly turned sharp. "What does this have to do with Ethan? Don't you dare drag him into this. Ethan and I are just classmates, nothing more. I used to have a crush on him, but that was back in university. You know that, don't you? If I really had feelings for him, why would I have gotten together with you?" Seeing her flustered and defensive, I pulled out my phone and showed her the picture I had taken yesterday of her in the bunny girl outfit. "So this is what just classmates do. Dress up as bunny girls and kiss each other." The color drained from Victoria's face. She snatched my phone, deleted the photo, and then slammed the device onto the floor. "Sincere, were you following me? You don't trust me? When did you become this person? How could you secretly take pictures of me at a party with my friends?" It was Ethan's birthday, yesterday. Everyone was just having a bit of fun. "I didn't invite you because I was afraid you'd overthink things. I can't believe you actually followed me. You're disgusting." I stood up, facing her directly. "I wasn't following you. Did you forget? Yesterday was the 3rd anniversary of our engagement. I went to the gallery to pick you up from work, and I saw you get into Ethan Reed's car. I saw you put on a bunny girl costume for him and feed him wine mouth to mouth. Is that what you call an innocent friendship between classmates? Do you want me to send this picture to your friends? If even one of them can say your relationship is purely platonic, I'll admit I'm being petty. How about that?" Victoria shot up from her seat, her face ghostly white. "Sincere, it was just for Ethan's birthday. I dressed up to make him happy." "Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. The wine feeding thing was just a joke. We've been engaged for 3 years. We're about to get married. You're the one I'm going to marry in the end. The process doesn't matter, does it?" I stared at her coldly, my voice dripping with sarcasm. So, going to a hotel together in a bunny girl costume and not coming back all night was also part of his birthday celebration? Did you have fun? All the blood drained from her face. She stammered. "I was just drunk. Ethan took me to a hotel to rest for the night. We really just talked. We slept in the same room, but nothing happened. Not everyone is as filthy-minded as you. Pure friendship can exist between a man and a woman. Sincere, your mind is so dirty that you assume everyone else is as dirty as you." Just then, her phone rang. I saw the screen on the sofa light up with the caller ID Ethan Reed. Victoria frantically answered the phone. "What's wrong?" I couldn't hear what Ethan said, but Victoria replied, "Wait for me there. I'll be right over to pick you up." She hung up and looked at me. "Sincere, I think you need to calm down. Ethan is collaborating with our gallery, and I need to go with him to discuss the contract details. This is work. You need to think long and hard about you following me and taking pictures behind my back. I expect a sincere apology from you. Until then, I really don't want to argue with you anymore." With that, she changed her clothes, slammed the door, and left. Completely disheartened, I collapsed onto the sofa, staring at the mess Victoria had left behind. I picked up my shattered phone from the floor and called my mother. "Mom, I broke up with Victoria." My mother paused for a second, then quickly replied, "You're willing to leave her? Are you sure you're coming back? Have you agreed to the marriage with the Bloom family?" Chapter 4. I replied without a moment's hesitation. "Of course I agree. There's nothing wrong with a childhood sweetheart. I'll be home in 3 days." My mother laughed. "Good. I'll start preparing for the wedding right away. We'll be waiting for you." After hanging up, I looked around the small apartment. It held so much of my love and my dreams. Now, it was time to let it all go. Once my mind was made up, I realized there wasn't much to pack. The mementos of our love I had collected over the years now seemed like nothing but cruel jokes. I packed my important documents, my clothes, and my books into 2 suitcases. 3 years of my life, packed away in 2 boxes. On the first day of my new life, I went to my company and submitted my resignation. My boss was sorry to see me go, but when he heard I was going home to get married, he couldn't argue. He just clapped me on the shoulder. "I hope we get the chance to work together again someday." I went to a real estate agency and listed the apartment. "I need a quick sale. If you find a buyer who can sign and pay immediately, I'm willing to offer a discount." The agent saw my urgency and immediately assured me, "Don't worry, Mr. Clark. We'll prioritize finding a buyer for you and get it sold as quickly as possible." I nodded. "I'll be leaving Bridgeport in a couple of days. When the time comes, you can just notify the current resident to move out." I also dropped my car off at a used car dealership. The whole process was exhausting, but by delegating everything to professionals, I could make a clean break. Victoria didn't come home that night. I no longer cared. The next day, I tidied up the apartment. Our photos together, the paintings I made for her, the pictures I took of her. I had a cleaning service come and clear it all out. Not a single miscellaneous item was left. On the 3rd day, I loaded my luggage into a car and drove to Victoria's gallery. At the entrance, I ran into her assistant, who was buying coffee and chatting with the barista. 2 coffees today. Miss Hathaway's boyfriend is here, and they're being so sweet together. I've honestly never seen her smile so happily." The barista replied, "I always thought Miss Hathaway was such an ice queen." The assistant laughed. "That's just because she's not with the one she loves. You have no idea how gentle and demure she can be. Just watching them makes me believe in love. It's so beautiful. Just seeing them kiss, I feel like spring has arrived." Even though I knew Victoria was with Ethan, hearing someone else describe it like that felt like my blood was flowing backward, chilling me to the bone. We were together for 3 years, and she never once publicly acknowledged me as her boyfriend. Now I saw it clearly. This love affair had been a battle I fought all by myself. I stood outside, looking through the floor-to-ceiling glass window at the 2 of them. They were sitting together, holding hands, their heads touching as they gazed into each other's eyes and smiled, occasionally leaning in for a kiss. I stumbled back to my car. Staring at the couple through the window, I sent Victoria a text message. "Victoria Hathaway, I'll let you have Ethan Reed. Let's break up." She replied almost instantly, "Sincere, we just slept in the same room for one night, and nothing even happened. Why are you so obsessed with this? As a man, can't you be a little more generous and not so petty?" Through the car window, I watched her gaze softly at Ethan. I typed out my reply. Word by word, of course, I don't mind. "Next month is my childhood sweetheart Grace Bloom's birthday. I'm going home to marry her. You wouldn't be angry about that, would you?" Victoria was unfazed. She sent a voice message. "Sincere, do you really think these petty verbal jabs are meaningful? If you want to break up, fine. Just don't you dare regret it." I turned off my phone, started the car, and headed straight for the airport. From now on, we would never have to see each other again. Chapter 5. It was evening when I arrived back at my family's home in Seacliff. The house was brightly lit. Hearing my voice, my mother rushed out. "Son," she cried, pulling me into a tight hug. For the sake of Victoria's career, I had given up everything to move to Bridgeport for her, and I rarely came home. It had been a full year since my last visit. My mother looked at me, her face filled with concern. "Why are you so thin? Did you not eat or sleep well after the breakup?" I saw the silver strands in my mother's hair, and a lump formed in my throat. "Yeah, I've lost weight. Mom, you have to make me lots of good food to fatten me up. I'm not leaving again. I'll stay home and be with you every day." My father was in the living room reading the newspaper. He glanced at me with a cool expression. "Hurry up and eat, the food's getting cold." I saw that he was holding the newspaper upside down, and my eyes warmed. "Dad," I said, "I'll come to the company with you tomorrow. From now on, I'm going to get serious about taking over the family business." My father gave a cold snort. "We'll see if you have what it takes." My mother and I exchanged a look and smiled. It was so good to be home. There was no betrayal, no indifference, just an abundance of love. Grace Bloom and I were childhood sweethearts, and the marriage was something both our families had wanted for a long time. We knew each other inside and out, and both families were thrilled with the match. As for why Grace agreed, I felt a deep sense of shame. She had always been my closest friend growing up, but I was the one who betrayed her for a so-called great love. When she confessed her feelings for me back then, I panicked. I had always seen her as a little sister. I fled to Bridgeport and stayed there for 3 or 4 years. When she found out I was with Victoria, she cried her eyes out and said she never wanted to speak to me again. I felt incredibly guilty about our arranged marriage. Even though it was a childhood betrothal, I was ultimately using it as an escape from Victoria. So when I saw Grace, I apologized to her with the utmost sincerity. "If you don't want to do this, we can cancel the wedding. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have abandoned our engagement and run off so far away, only to suddenly come back now. But I swear, I will be good to you. For the rest of my life, I will never get involved with another woman." She suddenly placed a hand over my mouth and then smiled, her dimples appearing. "Brother Sincere, I know everything. I was just waiting for you to see that woman, Victoria, for who she really is. I knew she could never steal you away from me." The marriage alliance between the Clark and Bloom families was big news in Seacliff. The wedding was set for a month later, and both families spared no expense, planning an extravagant affair that became a hot topic of discussion online. Meanwhile, after a few busy days, Victoria finally realized that our apartment had been completely emptied. Everything was gone, as if I had never been there at all. She panicked instantly. She walked out in a daze, only to be stopped by the real estate agent. "Miss Hathaway, Mr. Clark has listed the property with us for sale. We've already found an interested buyer who has paid the deposit. We need you to please vacate the premises within 3 days." Victoria shrieked, "What do you mean, sell the apartment? When did this happen?" "I never agreed to sell," the agent smiled politely. "Miss Hathaway, the property is registered under Mr. Clark's name. He doesn't need your consent. He has given us full authority to handle the sale." Please cooperate. If the contract is signed and you haven't moved out, we will have to involve the police." Now she was even more frantic. My phone went unanswered and my texts were ignored. Her only option was to send me a voice message, "Sincere, there's a limit to this foolishness. What are you doing selling the apartment? Are you really trying to break up with me? Don't think this little trick will make me cave. Come back right now and let's talk this out properly." However, the next second, the voice message she sent turned into a delivery failure notification. The moment I decided to get married, I had given Grace full access to my social media. She had the right to know everything I was doing. Grace had blocked her instantly. Left with no other choice, Victoria had to scramble to find a new place to live. Ethan came to pick her up. "This is all my fault, Victoria. From now on, let me be responsible for you, okay? You know how I feel about you. Since Sincere broke up with you, can we be together? I promise I'll take good care of you." He took Victoria to his apartment, and they began living together. I started to take over my family's business empire. It was only then that I realized just how extensive my old man's investments were. He even had a stake in art galleries and other artistic ventures. As it turned out, the gallery where Victoria worked was one that our company was considering acquiring. Because of this connection, I was able to get snippets of news from the gallery, whether I wanted to or not. After returning to the country, Ethan had been eager to hold a solo exhibition. He approached the gallery where Victoria worked to discuss hosting his show. They were inseparable, clinging to each other every day. Victoria, with absolute confidence, guaranteed her boss that supporting Ethan's solo exhibition was a brilliant move. She claimed Ethan was already a rising star abroad and that hosting his domestic debut would surely boost the gallery's reputation. Chapter 6. The gallery owner, Mr. Morgan, had always trusted Victoria's judgment, so upon hearing her pitch, he immediately agreed. Little did he know, Victoria had always seen Ethan through rose-colored glasses. In her eyes, he was the most talented artist alive. She trusted him so completely that she agreed to exhibit his work without even carefully examining the paintings herself. On the day of the exhibition, Ethan's work was immediately called out for plagiarism. The art critics were deeply disappointed. Their online reviews were scathing, directly pointing out the gallery's complete lack of artistic judgment. Exhibiting such work, they said, had tarnished the gallery's long-standing reputation. Because of this disaster, the gallery's business and good name suffered. The owner was furious. He not only withheld Victoria's bonus but also stripped her of her responsibilities, effectively sidelining her. Ethan put on a show of guilt. "Victoria, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. A lot of my best work is still overseas and I haven't gotten it back yet. These pieces were rushed, so maybe they aren't my best, but I absolutely did not plagiarize. It's just a similarity in inspiration. You have to believe me. My art is much better than this. I know I can create a stunning masterpiece and help you make a triumphant comeback." Victoria was convinced. She leaned into his embrace and said, "Of course, I believe you. I'll wait for you to create your masterpiece, and then we'll hold another exhibition." Ethan held her, his voice gentle. "Victoria, you're too good to me. I'm so lucky to have you by my side. Of course, this whole mess had nothing to do with me. I was about to get married. I just never expected to see Victoria on my wedding day." She attended with her boss, Mr. Morgan. Dressed in a black formal gown, she appeared at the wedding venue, her face pale as she stared at me in my groom's tuxedo. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. "Sincere, what are you doing here?" I smiled. "It's my wedding day. Welcome. I'm glad you could make it." She looked shocked. "How could you cheat on me behind my back? Weren't we supposed to get married?" I chuckled. "Victoria, I believe we officially broke up a while ago. As for my wedding date, I told you this would happen. I said Grace's birthday would be our wedding day. Don't look at me like that. Unlike some people, I had the decency to officially break up with you before finding a wife." She took a step back, refusing to accept reality. "I never agreed to break up. Sincere, you can't do this to me." I laughed. Whether you agreed or not is irrelevant. Victoria, you didn't actually think I would still marry you after you slept with another man, did you? You really overestimate your own importance." Her eyes reddened as she mumbled, "No, you said you would always love me." I looked at her with growing impatience. "Victoria, you were the one who cheated. And you still demand that someone love you? Where do you get the audacity? You might not mind being tainted, but I do." I looked down at her boss. "Mr. Morgan, are you here to attend my wedding, or did you bring her here to crash it?" Sweat poured down his face. He never knew that I was Victoria's ex-fiancée. If he had, he never would have made such a colossal mistake as to bring the groom's ex to the wedding. He immediately started apologizing profusely. My apologies. My apologies. Victoria and Ethan Reed are always so lovey-dovey, we all just assumed he was her boyfriend. This is all a misunderstanding, a complete misunderstanding." With a dark expression, he pulled Victoria aside and hissed, "Victoria, what do you think you're doing? This is the Clark family's big day. If you ruin things for me, you can pack your bags and get out immediately." Victoria's face was ashen. She didn't dare say another word and meekly followed her boss into the reception hall. On the stage, Grace and I exchanged vows, rings, and a kiss. Seeing Victoria watching from below, I suddenly thought that life truly was a dramatic play. During the toasts, a half-drunk Victoria raised her glass to Grace. "Sincere is a good man. You have no idea how considerate he is." The entire room fell silent, but she shamelessly continued, "When we were together, he would make me breakfast every morning before waking me up. On weekends, he would make delicious soups for me. I get cold easily, so he would prepare a hot foot bath for me every night. When I came home drunk from work events, he would even make me a hangover cure." The faces around the table were a mixture of expressions as they all stared at her. Chapter 7. Grace looked up at me, and just before I could lunge forward in anger, she grabbed my arm. She smiled sweetly and said, "Ma'am, my husband and I have known each other for over 20 years. Everyone knows how wonderful he is. It's such a shame for you, but a man this good is all mine from now on." "Oh well, I guess you just have poor judgment, letting a great man like him slip through your fingers. Lucky for me," she finished, squeezing my hand and lacing her fingers with mine. I composed myself and returned the toast on Grace's behalf. "Miss Hathaway, why didn't your fiancé join you at my wedding banquet? Since we're all acquainted, you should let him share in some of Grace's and my good fortune." Victoria looked at me in disbelief, tears instantly welling in her eyes. Sincere. Grace was never a patient person. The only reason she had tolerated this much was to maintain appearances. She pinched my arm, subtly pulling me closer, and whispered a warning in the other woman's ear. "Ma'am, since you already have a boyfriend, you should stop coveting someone else's husband. Unless, of course, you'd like to become famous as a homewrecker." With that, she linked her arm through mine. "Darling, it's time to toast the next table." She didn't spare Victoria another glance, turning to lead me away. She had no time for such petty games. As I turned, I saw Mr. Morgan grab Victoria and drag her towards the exit, his face dark the entire time. "If you want to self-destruct, don't drag me down with you. Get out of here right now." That night, in our new home, Grace stood with her hands on her hips, ready to settle the score. "From now on, you have to make me hangover soup, bring me foot baths, and make me breakfast. Only then will I forgive you." I pulled her into my arms. "All right, I'll bring you foot baths, make you hangover soup, and cook you breakfast for the rest of our lives. I'll be your humble servant." After marrying Grace, we settled into our life together, and with each passing day, our love grew sweeter. Her maternal family was a renowned artistic dynasty in Seacliff, and in her spare time she loved to paint. To make her happy, I acquired several galleries and art museums, planning to hold a grand exhibition of her work for our anniversary. A few months later, after the company finalized the acquisition of several galleries, I had to travel to Bridgeport on business. Returning to Bridgeport again felt surreal, as if I had been away for many years. When I walked into the gallery, the manager who came to greet me was not Victoria. I asked casually, Isn't the manager here Victoria Hathaway? The new manager smiled. Miss Hathaway is no longer employed with our gallery. It turned out that a month prior, Ethan Reed had latched onto a wealthy, up-and-coming local artist named Ivy Vance. The two hit it off immediately and decided to start their own gallery together. Victoria, of course, did not approve. She knew that look in Ethan's eyes all too well. It was the look he got when he was infatuated. She confronted him, refusing to let go. Ethan, what do you see in her? Is it because she can help you get an exhibition, or is it because she comes from a wealthy family? Ethan frowned at her. Victoria, how can you think of me like that? After all these years, don't you know what kind of person I am? Ivy and I are just kindred spirits. We have a mutual appreciation for each other's art. We can collaborate on paintings, hold exhibitions together. She can even ghost paint for me. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Victoria, you're an artist yourself. The woman I knew was dignified and aloof, not this crazed, suspicious person you've become. You've lost all your composure. Victoria tried to suppress her suspicions, telling herself he was just compromising for his career. But when she saw Ethan with his arm around Ivy, greeting guests and accepting compliments together, she finally snapped. Ethan Reed, is this what you call being kindred spirits? Your lips are practically glued to her face. Have you no sense of decency? Have you forgotten you have a girlfriend? Victoria's screams startled the guests in the gallery, and all eyes turned to them. Ethan's face was grim. Victoria, you are here as a gallery manager. Can you please control yourself? Ivy gently removed his hand. It seems you haven't settled things with your girlfriend yet. We should probably avoid any misunderstandings. I don't like messy relationships. Ethan grabbed her hand tightly. Ivy, don't misunderstand. Manager Hathaway and I are just university classmates. There's nothing else between us. She only helped me organize one exhibition. We had a few meetings about it, and I think she might have gotten the wrong idea. A faint smile played on Ivy's lips as she looked at Victoria. Oh, is that so? Well, Manager Hathaway, it seems this was all a misunderstanding. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Ethan Reed's girlfriend. You can just call me Ivy. Victoria shrieked, Ethan, if she's your girlfriend, then what am I? A university classmate? Do you sleep with all your university classmates? I broke up with my fiancée for you. I lost my position as manager just to help you with your exhibition. My career and my love life are in ruins, and now you're telling me I'm just a university classmate? Ethan frowned at her. Victoria, what happens between two consenting adults is a private matter. You can't claim to be my girlfriend just because we had a one-night stand. What does it have to do with me that Sincere Clark dumped you? Chapter 8. If your professional ability was questioned, that's due to your own incompetence. Was it really because you helped me with my exhibition? I, Ethan Reed, have never relied on connections. I get by on my own talent. I know you had a crush on me in university, but I'm sorry I can't reciprocate your feelings. The person I love is Ivy. It was only after meeting her that I knew what true love felt like. Victoria's face went white. She clutched her stomach. Ethan, but I'm pregnant with your child. Are you going to be irresponsible? Ethan looked at her with disgust. Victoria, you're pathetic. Do you really think you can threaten me with that? Getting pregnant behind my back? You're shameless. Let me tell you, it's useless. It doesn't matter how many children you have, it's useless. Ivy smiled faintly. Miss Hathaway, you're an educated woman. Why must you debase yourself like this? Ethan has the right to choose who he loves, doesn't he? One shouldn't have so little self-respect, Miss Hathaway. Please, conduct yourself with some dignity. Victoria looked at Ethan, her eyes red. When you came back, you said you were always thinking of me, that you still loved me. It was all a lie, wasn't it? You just wanted me to help you get an exhibition. Now that you can't get anything more from me, you want to dump me, is that it? The onlookers were already whispering among themselves. Isn't this the grand opening of the exhibition? How did it turn into such a scene? Oh my God, is this a love square you didn't know? I heard Manager Hathaway broke up with her fiancé for this Ethan guy, and that's how they got together. I always thought Miss Hathaway was such a refined beauty. Turns out she's no different from the rest of us. She can still make a scene like a common shrew." The words common shrew hit Victoria's ears. Her face flushed crimson. Seeing the disdainful looks from Ethan and Ivy, the blood rushed to her head. With a piercing scream, she lunged forward, tore a painting by Ethan and Ivy off the wall, and began stomping on it. "What are you doing? Are you insane? Victoria Hathaway, what are you doing? Ah, someone call the police, help, someone is destroying my art. I'll have you held legally responsible for this," Ivy shrieked. Ethan and Ivy's exhibition was ruined. The artwork was smashed to pieces. By the time the police arrived, Ethan had already slapped Victoria several times, leaving her collapsed on the floor. When she finally calmed down, she realized her situation couldn't possibly be worse. Ivy demanded the gallery compensate her for the damages, and the gallery, left with no choice, fired Victoria. It was only then that Victoria learned the truth. Ethan had already failed to make a name for himself abroad. His painting skills were mediocre, but he was an expert at seducing women. He had made a habit of living off his girlfriends, his entire reputation manufactured by his previous lover. Upon returning to the country and discovering Victoria was a gallery manager, he immediately rekindled their old flame, hoping to use the gallery's prestige to launch his career in Bridgeport. But the experts in the country weren't buying it. It was easy to tell good art from bad, and not even a gallery manager like Victoria could force them to give positive reviews. So, once he realized Victoria was of no use to him, he immediately moved on to Ivy. She came from a wealthy family, was a well-known emerging artist, and could even ghost paint for him. There was no better girlfriend, but he never counted on Victoria getting pregnant and being willing to burn everything to the ground. The scandal at the exhibition was huge. Victoria's reputation in the art world was destroyed. No one dared to hire her. As for Ethan, after Victoria exposed his past, Ivy broke up with him. She wasn't a fool, there were plenty of other fish in the sea. After his breakup with both women, Ethan went back to his old ways. This time, he targeted a married woman. The rich woman had money, but her husband was no pushover. Ethan reportedly had his hand broken and hasn't been seen since. When the new manager told me this story as if it were a joke, I just nodded. Now that the gallery is free of such unsavory characters, you can slowly work on rebuilding its reputation. I walked out of the gallery, talking to Grace on the phone as I headed to the coffee shop across the street. Just as I hung up, I realized the girl behind the counter was Victoria. She was pregnant, her belly swollen as she struggled to bend down and empty a trash can. The shop manager was hurrying her. "You need to take out the trash quickly, and then clean the coffee machine before you can leave." Victoria complied, wiped the sweat from her face, and went outside to dump the trash. As she looked up, she saw me standing by my car. She froze for a second, then quickly lowered her head, pretending not to know me as she walked past. I raised my voice and said to my driver, "To the jewelry store. The gift I ordered for Grace has arrived. If we don't get back soon, she's going to be angry." Victoria heard me. Her head bowed even lower. A single tear fell onto her ill-fitting, frumpy maternity dress, which looked as worn and shabby as her now unbearable life. The Maybach drove forward, and I, along with it, said goodbye to my past. The end.